Hello and welcome to another video. My name is James, the world's worst web developer, and here on this channel I like to share tips, tricks, and tutorials that only noobs will find useful. Today we're going to be talking about how to upload a WordPress plugin to the WordPress plugin repository. So it's actually not as complicated as you might think. There's just certain things about it that are just, I don't know if I'd call them weird. It's just things that you just wouldn't intuitively be able to figure out. You just kind of need someone to tell you how they work. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. So this video assumes that you already have a WordPress plugin and that you've gone through the process of review with the WordPress plugin repo folks. So if you haven't done that yet, you'll need to go to wordpress.org/plugins/add. You upload your plugin zip file and then they review it. And they send you an email with a long list of things you need to fix, and then you fix them, and then they send you another list of things to fix. It took me three rounds of emails, and then they gave me the green light and said, okay, your plugin is ready. They also have a little plugin tester plugin. It's a plugin that you install on your WordPress website, and then it checks your plugin for some things. It doesn't catch everything, of course, because I did that. Got the green light from that plugin, and then the review team still found stuff, but you definitely want to start with that. But anyways, so this video assumes you've done all that. So if you haven't, close this video, go do that, and then come back when you're ready to do that. When they give you the green light, they give you a whole bunch of links to docs that will help you with things, and they give you your SVN URL. So SVN is something that's similar to Git. If you're familiar with Git, you shouldn't have any problem using SVN, to be honest. It's very similar. It's just kind of different in how it's used. SVN is mostly like they expect you to be using it to push stable releases versus, Git, you're oftentimes just pushing code all over the place and adding experimental features and whatnot. And then eventually you get to a stable main branch. With SVN, the idea is that you've already done all that kind of stuff, and then you're ready to push a stable version of your plugin to the repo. So, but otherwise, like I said, it basically works the same. So, step one is check the email that they sent you and grab your SVN URL. It should look something like this: plugins.svn.wordpress.org/whatever your plugins slug is. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have SVN installed wherever your project is locally, which is as easy as sudo apt get install SVN or sudo apt install SVN. They both pretty much work, I think, regardless of what kind of Linux you're using. But if you're using not Linux, I don't know. Honestly, just Google how to install SVN. I'm using a Windows computer, but I'm using WSL, so it's effectively Linux. But this is, like I said, very easy steps. Sudo apt install SVN. Once you do that, you'll be able to do some SVN type commands that are similar to doing Git commands. In fact, I keep confusing them. I accidentally will type Git when I mean to type SVN and vice versa. Eventually, you'll get the hang of it, I think. Once you do this, I'm not going to do it because I already have SVN installed. It'll just take not even a minute, I think, to install. And then you can check it if you just do like SVN status. You should get something. If it didn't install correctly, it'll probably say, command not found, SVN, whatever. You could also do SVN minus version, I believe. Yep. And that'll tell me some stuff here. So just to check and make sure that SVN actually installed correctly for you. And then the next thing we want to do is check out our SVN repo from WordPress. And so there's probably a lot of different ways you can do this. I don't know if what I'm doing is typical, but I just like everything to be kind of in one location. So I'm pretty sure some people will put their SVN folder like somewhere else, not within their plugin. I just put mine right inside my plugin. So if you look up here, you'll see this is my WordPress plugin, right? And then I have this folder in here called SVN, and I added that to my git ignore. So because I don't need this SVN folder to be in my GitHub account. There's no reason for it to be up there. So I added it to my git ignore so that when I push things to GitHub, it won't push that folder. And so this is where my WordPress.org code lives. Okay, so all this other stuff is for GitHub. Everything inside SVN is for WordPress.org. And the way WordPress.org works is you'll notice if you visit your URL that they gave you, you'll see a screen similar to what I have right here. You should have already a folder called assets, a folder called tags, and a folder called trunk. They create those for you. I didn't make these folders. WordPress created these for you by default, and they're all going to be empty, but they all have a specific purpose. So technically, you don't need to put anything in assets. Technically, we'll talk about that. And you don't really need to put anything in tags. Technically, you can have a plugin on WordPress.org without anything in those two folders. Trunk is that's where your stable version of your plugin should go. So if your plugin is on version 1.2.3, all the code for version 1.2.3 should be in trunk. And you can see if I click on it, there's my plugin, right? I got the main plugin file here, a CSS file, and then I got more folders with stuff in there. So this is my plugin, and it's the most recent stable version of it. This is what users download if they download my plugin from the WordPress.org repository. Okay, so that's what goes in the trunk folder. Tags is where you can put previous versions of your plugin. So right now, the current version of my plugin is 1.2.1, and you'll see that I have a folder for that and a folder for 1.2.0. And so if we look at my repository and we go to advanced view, you'll notice that we can download previous versions. That's where that comes from. If you don't have anything in this tags folder, then you won't have anything here in this dropdown for your users to be able to, just grab a previous version. Some people like to do that for testing, or if maybe there's a bug in your latest version that you didn't catch in QA, they can come here and just download the previous version and use that while you fix your current version. So that's what the tags folder is for. Like I said, technically you don't have to put anything in there, but it's a good idea, I think, to have previous versions in there. And then assets is that's where, if you look at if we go back to my main page here, you see these screenshots. These screenshots exist in that assets folder. So all this content is coming from my readme.txt file, which you can see right here. And then this is the part that gets kind of weird. You're going to probably just want to Google how to make a WordPress.org readme.txt file, because there's just some things that it does. For instance, you'll notice there's no code in here for an image, right? There's no like IMG tag or even any markdown that's pulling in an image. What it does is if you add this section right here called screenshots, and then in your assets folder, you have screenshot-1.png, screenshot-2, and screenshot-3, and then you can give them names here. It will automatically grab the screenshots from your assets folder and create this sort of slider thing here with the screenshots that you put in there. So that's just kind of a weird thing. I don't know if this is some sort of standard thing or if this is just something WordPress made up, but that's how it works. If you want to add some screenshots, which I recommend you do, this is how you do it. You put them in your assets folder, name them screenshot-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., and then just add this little section in your readme.txt file, and then just give a little name to each one, and it will create this slider for you. And you can see here's the name, submit an idea form. That's what I put right here. So, but I'm not going to go into all this stuff. Like I said, Google how to make a great readme.txt file, and you'll see how to make this happen. They have a similar thing for adding an FAQ section, which I haven't done for my plugin yet, but I will be doing that at some point. But what you really need to understand is that readme.txt is where all this content comes from on your plugin page. And then the video, that's a pretty standard, I think, markdown code. Right. Actually, it's just a link. Just drop a link to the YouTube video in here, and then it just embeds the video for you. So that's pretty simple and easy. But anyways, moving on from that, so that's the 3 folders that you have in here. There's another folder you can put in there. They stopped putting it in there by default because almost nobody used it, and I forget what that folder is even called. It's obviously not important. So few people used it that they just stopped creating it. If you want to use it, you have to create it yourself. But these are the 3 main folders. Trunk is the one where your most stable version goes. Tags is for previous versions, and assets is for screenshots and a few other things which we can talk about. But let's go ahead and actually talk about how to take our code and actually get it up into the repo from our local project. So that's actually the simple part. What you're going to do is wherever you decide to that you want to put your SVN stuff, you're going to navigate there. So CD, into wherever you want to go, and then you're going to do this command SVN checkout, and then you're going to type in your SVN URL that WordPress gives you. So www.whatever WordPress SVN / your plugin name, and then you're going to you got to name the folder that you're about to create to put everything in. I just called mine SVN, so I did this. So this is the command I ran: SVN checkout, and then my WordPress SVN URL, and then the name of the folder you want to create. Hit enter, and what that's going to do is it's going to create a folder called SVN or whatever you decide to type in there, and then it's going to check out the branch, just like basically it's basically the same as git clone. You git clone and then you type in your GitHub URL and it pulls it. That's what we're doing here, but SVN calls it checkout, which is kind of annoying because checkout means something in Git. So it can get a little confusing because they're similar but different. But effectively what we're doing is we're just grabbing what exists in our SVN WordPress SVN repo, which right now is nothing, just those 3 empty folders, and it will create what you see here: assets, tags, and trunk. And mine are not empty, but yours will be empty because you haven't done anything yet. So once you've done that, you have some options. You can, just click and drag stuff in there. You can, select a bunch of stuff and copy it and then go into your trunk folder and paste. However you want to do it, you need to get all of your plugin files into this trunk folder. What I did is I have a composer script right here that uses something called rsync. And if you need to, you can install that just by doing rsync. I think it was as simple as that. And then what this script does is it takes everything in my project minus some things that I excluded, and it copies them all into right here. Oh, go back into SVN/trunk. Okay. And you can see it's excluding all sorts of stuff that doesn't need to be in there, right? We don't need to add node modules. We don't need to be sending that to the WordPress repo. It's basically all this stuff that you wouldn't send to GitHub, and then also more stuff like the package.json file. If you're using that, we don't need to send that to WordPress. I don't need to send my Tailwind config file to WordPress, right? So excluding all the things, and then also make sure if you're doing the same thing I'm doing, where you have your SVN folder inside your plugin, make sure you exclude that if you're going to do this little composer script like I'm doing, because if you don't, you'll get caught in an endless loop where it keeps putting everything inside the SVN folder, and then inside that SVN folder, and then inside that SVN folder, and then your computer will crash. And don't ask me how I know that. So make sure if you're going to do this little trick, don't forget to exclude the SVN folders so you don't run into that endless loop that I ran into. So there it is right there. So that's how I do it. So what happens is I run this script, when I'm making updates to my plugin, I'll send it all to GitHub, and then I'll run this script, and it will copy everything into svn/trunk. And then, similar to GitHub, what you'll do is you'll say svn add, and then depending on where you're located, so right now I'm in my main plugin, so I'd say svn/trunk, and then I do /*. And this will add everything inside your trunk folder. Like I said, just like doing a git add, Git basically stages it ready to commit. And then once you've done that, you'll usually get a lot of warnings. So like if I do it now, it's just warning because it's saying it's already under version control. The thing about SVN is it seems like you only have to technically do an SVN add if you're actually adding a new file. If you just updated an existing file, you don't have to add it, which is different from Git. Git, when you update a file, you have to add it. But I just do this just to make sure I didn't forget anything. And you'll get a lot of warnings that says that it's already under version control. That's fine. You can ignore that. And then when you're ready, you can do SVN commit, just like GitHub. You can add a little message -m, whatever. And then if you do this sends your code up to WordPress. So unlike GitHub or Git, where you do git commit and then you have to do git push, with SVN you just do SVN commit, and that will send your code. You'll have to type in your password, which, by the way, we didn't talk about that. Your SVN username and password is just the same as your WordPress.org account, and it is case sensitive, the username. So when I do this, it'll ask me to type in my password. I think the first time I had to type in my username and password, and then after that, it just asked me for my password, and then it pushes your code up to the repo, and it updates pretty quick. It's I haven't experienced any delays or caching issues. It's usually within 10 or 20 seconds after I do SVN commit and I refresh my WordPress repo. Then it'll show the updates. So I want to make sure I didn't forget anything important here. Just to kind of recap, make sure you install SVN in your terminal using SVN or apt-get install SVN. And then after that, you need to check out your WordPress repo with SVN checkout, and then your WordPress URL, and then the name of the folder that you want to create. Like I said, I just called it SVN. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe you call it WordPress, .org, whatever. And then after that, it's just a matter of whenever you make updates to your plugin, add all those files to your /trunk folder. If there's any new files, do SVN add, trunk everything, and then do SVN commit with a message, and that'll send your code up. Type your password in, and that's it. For me, that's as simple as it is. I've seen some other people talking about their process, and there's some complicated processes out there. There's one person who I know is actually using a GitHub action, which is kind of neat. I haven't gotten it to work yet for myself, but they push their code to GitHub, and then a GitHub action automatically takes that code and sends it off to WordPress.org. So that's pretty slick. They're using something. The GitHub action is from something called 10up. So Google the number 10 up, GitHub action, WordPress.org repo, whatever. Google that, and you'll find that. I haven't got it to work yet. I haven't spent much time on it, mostly because this is so easy and works just fine for me. So I don't really see the benefit of using the GitHub action. I mainly just wanted to set it up just out of curiosity. And then if you want to use this little trick, I'll put this in the description of the video so you can just copy it, and then you'll want to go through and change these excludes to exclude, the things that you want to exclude, because you'll have different stuff over here. But basically you're looking at, it's rsync AV progress, and then all the things you want to exclude, and then /. This means everything in here minus the things we excluded, and then SVN/trunk means that's the destination. So it's going to take everything in the root minus everything you exclude, and it's going to put it in this folder, SVN/trunk. And then you can run your SVN commands to send it on up. So I think that's pretty much all I'm going to cover in this video. I plan to do another video to talk about this little guy right here, this live preview option. It's actually pretty darn easy to get this working as well. So what this does is, I don't know how fast this will work, but the idea is you click on this button and then it's actually going to spin up a instance of WordPress that is actually, as far as I understand, completely just run like locally in your browser, which is kind of neat, and with your plugin installed so that your users can try it out. And so, yeah, so that worked pretty quick. So you can see this is just a basic WordPress install. And it has my plugin installed. You can see right there. And I also chose to have the Cadence theme installed. You can specify that. I also imported an XML file, which imported a bunch of dummy content. So my plugin is a roadmap plugin that people can use to submit ideas. So I imported all these dummy ideas, and I even imported a couple pages, roadmap, submit ideas. So I'm going to do a video talking about how to do all this and get it all set up. Once you got your plugin uploaded to the WordPress repo and you got that all figured out, then you can move on to getting this live preview set up if you'd like. It really isn't that difficult. You're basically going to just copy and paste some code that I give you, and it's going to work. So yeah, that's it. I think that's it for this video. Hopefully you found that useful. If you're watching this and you're not a noob and you see something I said that sounds stupid to you, please don't hesitate to let me know. If I'm telling people a less than ideal way of doing things, I would very much appreciate you letting me know that so that we can educate my viewers on the best way to do it. But everything that I've shown you in this video has been working great for me so far, so it should work great for you as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.